everybody, how's it going? My name's DJ, I'm one of the moderators here at Rhode Island Comic Con. So we got a fun one today. So I'm going to bring out, he does a whole bunch of stuff. He's a master fabricator, special effects guy, puppeteer. He's currently involved with the very popular Terrifier horror series. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Bill Diamond. Continue to clap.
Hey gang, how are you? How is everybody? You guys having fun yet? Good, good. I like your hats.
They are good hats. So, one thing that I can throw out with you is the fact that you worked at Henson. With Henson, and I'm a huge puppet guy. Like I love puppets. My whole life, I've tried making them. It doesn't come out as well as
you need John.
Yes. I need to learn how to do the stitch. I can't figure it out, like the Henson stitch or whatever to close the fun fur. But
Jim couldn't do it either, so don't worry about
someone else figured. I know someone else created it. So, what is it that drew you to the whole world of like? Obviously, some people just naturally like to build stuff. Was that you? Kind of, you just like to create things, or?
Yeah, well, I started out drawing a lot of stuff, but my background was really producing TV and stuff, and I had. Liked theater, I liked all of it. So I couldn't decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I haven't got there yet, so.
Fair enough. No, I'm the same way. So I'll get it one of these days. So I've obviously, you've been in the area for a long time. I think, have you been here every year?
Yeah, I think pretty much every year, yeah.
And you always have an awesome setup. So I think the first year I came, you had Audrey here, I believe.
Little Shop, yeah.
Yeah, Little Shop Horror. So what goes into something like that? Like as far as the planning phase to make something that big?
Well, I mean, you got to find out what it's going to do. When you create a creature, it's not just drawing it. It's what's it supposed to do, how it's supposed to perform, whether it's on camera, on stage. So it needs to know, you have to have a good idea of, you're not just building something for something, you're building it for an environment, a character, a stage show, a musical. So it has to be designed to do what it was originally shaped to do. That's the first thing. A lot of people will build something and go, oh, okay, that's nice, but that's not the thought process. Is what's it going to do, what it needs to do, how it's coming alive. So you got to keep that in mind.
So when you're drawing stuff out, are you more of like, there's all these different, everyone has their own method, obviously. Do you draw things up more like a storyboard sense, or just like a rough sketch? Or are you like a mechanical, like nuts and bolts drawing kind of guy?
I do both. If I'm telling a story, I do them in like thumbnail drawings. I always do these little sketches of what the story is. Or like for how many of you been upstairs to see the Muppet Theater?
It's insane, right?
So I have to blame John over there. John's my fabricator. He's great. Give him a big hand because.
Give for John.
Yeah. You always kind of need a guy that has a hand in things. So, and
waka waka.
And I can say that because Robbie and I have known this was my friend. 45 years we've known each other, and he still has hair and I don't. But the thing is that like he brought over this little sketch and he said, "Hey Bill, what do we do this?" And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then from there you got upstairs.
Oh yeah.
That's how it happens. I think we'll stretch this. So I really pushed the envelopes at that point.
Yeah, because some of the other guys were here Thursday night, and they sent me, because I'm a huge Muppet guy. Like I brought my Gonzo puppet. I have one of the photo replica ones.
Okay.
And he's like, "You're gonna love this." And he sent me just a little video. And as soon as I saw the purple frames, like the hairs on my arm stood up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was so happy. So you always have cool displays, but I think this might have outdone it.
Well, we try to bring an experience to everything, whether, like with Terrifier here, everything that's on there is real. It's from the movie. So
yeah.
Everything that we bring, we don't build anything that's, if it's in a movie, a TV show, or a stage show, it's all the real stuff. And that we like to do.
How did the Terrifier thing happen? 'Cause that just seems like a curveball.
Well, I was always into monsters. I like the classic movie monsters. So I always did that. My first convention was Famous Monsters in 1975. So I've been doing conventions since then. But monsters, and of course Henson's was monsters too. The thing where Damien came about is I do a bunch of movies. I do a lot of Dan Roebuck's movies, and Dan is a great character actor. He played Santa in Terrifier, but I was doing two Santa movies at the same time. I was doing Saint Nick in Bethlehem at the same time I was doing Terrifier. So Danny was in both, and I was doing both. So when I was doing Danny's, he was talking to Damien. I knew Damien, but at that point I was going to Nightmare on the Falls up in Canada. And Danny said, you need to talk to Bill. He'll probably be able to help you with the film and figure it out. And I met him in the lobby, and then he came to the studio, and the rest is history. He said, could you make this movie? Because I have no idea. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. So you brought up a little something like, so obviously I don't do a lot of horror stuff, so like Terrifier is a bit much for me.
It was much for me too. I mean, yeah. Muppets and blood don't work.
Yeah, I know. I'm what the kids call a little girl when it comes to the horror movies. But so you brought up the classic monsters. Obviously you have impeccable taste in shirt clothing companies, but we have the same brand on. But who is your favorite Universal monsters? Because I always like to ask that question to people who are into that kind of stuff, like the classics.
Well, probably Karloff, Frankenstein. I was just at Sarah Karloff's house. I've known Sarah. That's Boris's daughter. I've known her for 35 years. So we were just doing the whole thing together out in L.A. Wow. So, you know, it's kind of... I was always connected to the classic movie monster families. Victoria Price did a lot of stuff with me, and Bela Lugosi Jr. and Ron Chaney. I did Phantom. So it's not just Muppets, so... That's where the monster background comes from.
That's awesome. I'm the same way. Frankenstein to me is the best horror icon, period. So
yeah, and the new one's out now and Guillermo I know. So
yeah, I watched it in the theaters. It's a cool take. It was. I mean, Guillermo del Toro, he's good anyway. So but yeah, it was. I was pleasantly surprised how good it was. So, I mean, I knew it was gonna be good anyway. But have you ever done any like classic monster stuff? Like, have you just on purpose? Like, yeah.
You mean me filming it? Well, I did Phantom on stage. I created all the masks for Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. So there's two versions. There's the Andrew Lloyd Webber, and then there's Phantom, which is Maury Yeston and Koppel. I created all the scenic elements for that and the masks and the makeup. Cool. When that show came out in 1990 on stage, and I did that night after night. At the same time, I was doing Little Shop in another theater. So, you know, so yeah, I have a little bit of connect. Plus, I did the documentary history.
Oh, did you?
On Phantom.
On Phantom? Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen Phantom. I've seen obviously Phantom of the Opera, but like I've seen Little Shop.
Now, Phantom is a beautiful take on it because it's really more about the Phantom, where Koppel's is Phantom, Eric the character, where the other one's really directed towards Christine more so.
Okay. What's your favorite thing that you've worked on, that you've done?
Whatever I'm doing at the time.
Fair enough. Yeah, I always have, of course, it's always like, you know, who's your favorite kid kind of thing, and no one ever wants to say it, so. So this is also first, too, like, I've never done a panel where someone brings an entire entourage.
Oh, yeah, well, they're all upstairs, but, you know, Johnny, he's worked so hard on this piece upstairs that he just had to be, you know.
Yeah, you want to go into that a little bit? Do you want to talk about the creation of the piece upstairs?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so if anyone hasn't been upstairs, there's basically an entire recreation of the Muppet Show set, which is probably top 3 one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Like I still watch it. Like I'll put the Muppet Show on just in background when I'm cleaning the house or when I'm working on stuff. Or the Muppets are massive to me. So so you said, yeah, obviously, like, you know, you said he had the sketch with the idea, but how did you guys like scale that out and realize, okay, yeah, we can actually make this happen and transport it? Because I would imagine something like that.
Well, that's what I do a lot. I mean, when we build things in the studios, and puppets, you know, as we do with the characters, you know, everything's scaled to them. This was scaled to the way it was in the theater. You know, a number of times, there were different versions. When the Muppets did the movies, they were shot in the old Phantom movie house in L.A. So the set behind it, it's gone now. They put a Fast and Furious, but that was the original set that Lon Chaney worked on, and then they did the 46, and Alfred Hitchcock used it. But the Muppet Show was shot there too. The Muppet movies were shot there. Okay. The Muppet stage was over in London. But we scaled it to basically know how we could get it. It stands 11 feet tall, and it's 40 feet long. So based on the characters that John was putting together, which he was doing to scale. That gives us the idea, because they're built based on that. Yeah.
And then have you guys ever had an idea, like something like this? I would imagine like you have the idea, like you said, you scaled it, and you start drawing it out, and I'm like, okay, that's when you start talking about it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's gonna be perfect. And then you realize, how's it gonna fit on a truck? How are we gonna get it there?
Oh, I designed it all out piece by piece. I know
do that.
exactly. Robbie's been around me long enough to know that I can make it that it'll fit anywhere.
That's
I know the elevator it'll come in. I know the doors it'll come in. I know where it fits in the truck, how it assembles in the truck. Everything rolls in on a series of carts so that the crew can move it very easily. So it's all designed down to the point. And my son is one of the best fabricators out there. You know, see, he is really good in steel, wood, and whatever. So, you know, he's like, what did I dream up this time? So I usually know exactly where it's going. You know, just like when we did the Christmas set for Terrifier, we had to build a 80s type of Christmas. That's what he wanted. So he had no idea. I do one little pencil sketch and I'm gone, and I tell them, this is what we're doing. And they go, oh. Right? Is that what you did? So, you know, when Robbie was working on Terrifier, I said, this is where we're going. This is the size. This is what I told Damien. Here's your drawing. And I don't do it to, like, Richard, my son, will turn around and go, Dad, I need numbers. I said, just build a 10 by 14. Just go for it. You know? So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, 'cause it really is like, I mean, I've seen stuff every year, and you guys outdid yourself this year. I mean, it's always good, but this year it's like.
Well, it's like when we put Barbara Eden in the bottle.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah, that's right.
So the conversation was, I said to the guys when Barbara was coming, I said, well, I'll do something that no one else has done in Hollywood. I'll put her back in the bottle. And that's exactly right. And that's how the joke went. And I said, I'll just put her back in the bottle. And then I did, and she goes, you're the only one that can do that, you know that? So,
that was like 2019 or something like that, I think?
Yeah, it's 25 feet tall.
That was awesome. Yeah, because you walk in, and all you could see was this giant, I think it was purple, right? The purple genie bottle? Mm-hmm. That was cool. The kids, Barbara Eden was in a TV show way, way back when called I Dream of Jeannie. So
for the kids.
Yeah, for the kids. So he put a grown woman inside a lamp. It was pretty cool. So, I know, obviously, like, you probably can't talk much about it. There's a new, you know, Damien said online. I'm actually, someone's in the room actually got a pretty good scoop on the new Terrifier at a convention recently. So you're involved with the new Terrifier.
You mean 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it exciting to be able to go back and do more stuff?
Well, it's funny. I sent Damien pictures. I didn't tell him about the Muppets set, but he got very excited when we were out in L.A. And yesterday, I took photos of all of it, and I sent it to him, and I said, and Damien Leone's the director of Terrifier. Nobody knows. And I said, this is what happens when you don't give me a Terrifier movie. And all I got back was, amazing. So I said, when do we start? So that kind of.
Has he asked you for Art the Clown Muppets yet?
We have Art the Clown Muppets.
You do?
Yes, we do.
That's terrifying. It's cool, though. I mean the iconography of the character was kind of cool, and it's just, like I said, I'll get around to watch them eventually, but. Has there ever been, and I'm sure the answer is going to be no, I'm just trying to think of like, so has there ever been a time when you've come up with an idea and you draw it all out, and then you hand it off to the guys, and they just go, no?
Oh, no.
I didn't think so.
No one says no to me.
I
have him on the end there.
I figured as much.
No one says no. They just take what I give them, and they're like, okay, this is cool. How are we going to do this? Same thing Damien says. How am I going to do this? I said, that's my job to tell you how and figure it out.
It's pretty cool. You know, imagine, so there's one of my favorite like horror movies, quote unquote, is this movie called The Monster Squad from the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's Stan Winston.
Yep, and they did a documentary, and it was kind of the same thing where they brought like, hey, you got to make the Universal monsters, but not the Universal monsters. And they went, how are we going to do it? And Stan Winston went, you got it, figure it out. Just do it. I said, do it. I said, do.
Yeah, I knew Stan well, and I still know Matt Winston very well. So I do a lot of stuff at the Stan Winston School of Character Arts.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's how we get it. I mean, nobody, if we get a script or whatever, or I just do a drawing, same thing we did for Terrifiers, I just do a sketch and say, this is what we're doing. And it goes from there.
Just make it so, kind of.
That's it. We figure it out as we're going along.
Bill wills be done. That's it. Is there anything you haven't done? I mean, it seems like you've pretty much covered like everything as far as like you directed stuff, produced stuff, sets, Muppets, fabrication, like horror, Broadway. Like, is there any like either? Is there like a genre you haven't touched that you'd like to do something for?
Actually, no. I mean, I've done sports. And I'm not a sports guy, but I've done. Robbie's worked with me on the Yankees. We've done stuff for all the teams. Baseball, World Wrestling. I did that. I did a show called Legends with Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan, and I did those series for WWE. And Yes is right next door, so I did all the sets for the Yankees. So
Oh, wow.
I have done quite a bit.
Was that back in like the Coliseum home video days, or?
No, they were just a number of years ago. I designed a show called Buzz in the Bronx for the New York Yankees, and we shot. Robbie worked on that one with me, and we did that. And we had the actor Chaz Palminteri play the barber, so from Goodfellas.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
I did about 3 movies with Al Pacino. Most people don't know that either.
Which ones?
I did Chinese Coffee, Godfather 3, and Richard III.
Oh wow, you did Godfather 3?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, what did you do in Godfather 3?
Whatever Al wanted
Whatever you
me
want
to do. I'm also building puppets right now for Africa. I'm doing a documentary now for South Africa where I built these puppet characters that feed the big birds shoe bills. They're about almost 8 feet tall, these things. And the puppets are built for the scientists to feed the animals. So I designed special beaks.
Oh.
And there's a documentary being done, and I'm supposed to go over to South Africa in July.
Well, that's super cool.
I also did the Back to the Future ride.
Oh,
Most
at
people don't
Universal?
know I did that too.
No way. Okay, so here we go. So the Back to the Future ride at Universal, if anyone doesn't know, is now a horrible Simpsons ride.
Yeah.
And all the charm is it's the same mechanical stuff, but the Back to the Future ride was just so special. How does it, like, as far as like making it, when you were working on that, was it like, I mean, obviously they have their own like engineering team.
Well, that was Doug Trumbull, and it was
Yeah.
shot at Berkshire's Motion Picture, and it was basically developed by Doug. He did a lot of rides like Niagara and stuff, so he was really pretty much the first pioneer to do those kind of things. I mean, he did 2000 Space Odyssey and all that, but so basically it was in an old barn where we built it, 2-story barn, and the DeLorean was about that big, and it was miniature and big miniature sets. So the whole ride was cinematically done that way, and we had it on a huge crane. And one of the scenes where we had to do was when I don't know if you're on the ride, the little volcano, we went down the volcano and traveled it. We cut a big
dinosaur
hole.
part?
Yeah, we cut a big hole in the floor of the second floor and poured chocolate milk, gallons of chocolate milk down into a vat to create the lava. Because chocolate milk had the same substance. But on film, optically, we turned it red.
You just
This
light
is
it or
before
something?
digital, huh?
Do you like light it behind that, or like would you do it?
No,
from-
you didn't light it. They just turned it red,
Oh.
but it had the same texture. The quick chocolate milk gave us the texture, and then we would lower the crane into the pit for that scene with the DeLorean, and the ice was all wax. And I'm the one who operated the big T-Rex that.
And that's like the most memorable. Like I mean, obviously that ride went away a long time ago, but yeah, like the one thing I always remembered was the dinosaur. And that.
Yeah, I did the dinosaur.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm a theme park guy, so I'm a Back to the Future guy too. I love that movie, so that ride was awesome. Man, I'm trying to like trip you up, and I just can't do it. So who's your? Did you bring one of the guys here? Are any of your guys here in the room like one of your main like puppet creator guys or?
John.
Okay, John, I gotta ask you a question, so if you don't mind.
No, that's why I brought him down.
What do you use for mouth plate material? Oh, DVD covers. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because I always says, there was a time, if everyone remembers, it was a long time ago. They walked us all in our house for about 10 months, and I was going stir crazy. Like, I'm gonna learn how to build Muppets because I wanted like a Fozzie Bear or something. And I joined like a puppet group on Facebook and bought a bunch of patterns and stuff. And I could never figure out the mouth plate. I was like, oh yeah, just use like a Ziploc container lid or whatever. And I'm like, that can't be what they use. But you just
Well,
prove
they
me
also
wrong.
used, we would use rubber gasket material. See, when the Muppets started and anything we did with foam, we didn't have the computer power you guys have now where you had to go, you can go onto your phone and get all these tutorials. We had to figure it out and make it up, and there's no store to go grab any of that. We tried different materials to get what we were trying to do. Just like foam latex didn't exist. So when Dark Crystal was these were techniques that were being, just developed. They were used by Dick Smith. He developed the latex. So did John Chambers for Planet of the Apes. So as different people like Dick Smith for The Exorcist, and then John Chambers with all the rubber that he did in Planet of the Apes, he won an Oscar for that. Well, those materials started coming out, and they were experimental. So when Dark Crystal came about, they wanted to Jim would just start playing with new material. None of this stuff existed. So if we needed there was no such thing as Muppet fleece or anything like that. None of this stuff did. We found materials again, Muppet, mops, things like that. All that stuff was just things that we would find and then started creating. And years later, now you guys can Google anything and get whatever. We had to develop it. We had, like I said, Charlie, we had to test things to try to find things. There was no store-bought stuff out there. It didn't exist. We made it up as we went along. And we still do. So
I cheated. I bought the fun. Like
there
the
were
fun
no
fleece and
patterns or
and the
anything
patterns
like that.
Yeah.
We made them up as they go along.
Yeah. So I got through I think I got through 2 before my wife said absolutely no more puppets ever. So obviously nothing as cool as you guys done, but however I did make one that is actually on display in the window of the most famous comic book store in the country, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash in Red Bank, New Jersey. There's a puppet Silent Bob up on the sign. I made that for him.
Oh, okay.
So that was the one thing I did, and then that was the end of my puppet career, unfortunately. So
I made a puppet of Stan Winston, so that's
kind of cool.
usually
That's
that's
cool.
at the Stan Winston shop. But like if you go, they have all the machines that are cutting everything. It's the same thing every single time. But on the Muppet stage, all those I sculpted the original out, all the scroll work, and then that's all casted. So we didn't use any modern pieces.
So so you say that, have you guys taken advantage of things like 3D printing and stuff like
I
that?
have no interest in it because none at all. No,
Old
because
school, no school, like the old school kind of stuff?
well, to me, there's no. Yeah,
No.
there's to me, it's just a giant Xerox machine. It
That's exactly
once you make the first one, but there's more. There's a naturalness in any of that. That 3D printing just takes. It's great for manufacturing a lot of pieces if you have a machine shop or whatever, but the art is lost, in my opinion. There's no talent behind it. The machine's doing all the work.
No, that's true. It's kind of like, if you watch I'll just say
Taking a drawing and then putting it on, multiplying it
Yeah.
400 times, because after a while you walk around, it's the same thing. But a sculpt, I like looking, when I walk the floors of these cons, I like looking for those innovative artists that are still doing hand stuff. I'm not interested in 3D print because the machine's doing it. If they made the first one, I'm interested in that. After that, I don't care. If they mold and cast it, there's always a little something. That takes
little ding, little imperfection,
that
little
takes
air
talent,
bubble.
and then sanding and recreating or set work or whatever. Everything's handmade. That whole setup there, everything is handmade.
Yeah.
Even the scroll work, everything's handmade. And you're molding and making cast, but you have to do it. You have to play with it. You got to make sure it works. You got to do all that. 3D printing, nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of it's like films in general. Like I mean, I feel like I'm not that old, but I grew up. My main movie viewing consumption started in the '80s, so I'm still a practical effects guy. Like nothing nowadays looks better than what it did back then. Like we were talking about the Universal Monster stuff. You go back and watch like the old the old Frankenstein movie, the old Wolfman. Like just the makeup job is all that. All that stuff would just be a CGI guy running around now. It's like
That's why Terrifier is so unique, because that's what Damien wanted. He came to a guy like me that worked in the 80s and said, hey, this is what I grew up on, and I want to do it practically. And he did. And that's why his film is so successful, and that's why you see a lot of practical coming back. You get tired of it after a while, and I hear it all the time. You guys are the ones that watch the movies, so you'll get a chance to really, in the new Frankenstein, it's all handmade. Mike Hill is an incredible sculptor, good friend, and his monster in that and his work with Guillermo is top notch, and it's all handmade stuff. Every detail, every piece, the anatomy was all built by hand.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's no comparison, especially like that I find the horror genre kind of takes advantage of it more.
Yeah,
than most things.
Lily, I think you see more of the independent. They do it by budget or whatever, but you can see Terrifier is a $2 million movie that made 45 times its budget.
Doesn't happen every day.
Does not. Lightning in a bottle. Like with Dark, what's so unique about Dark Crystals, everything was handmade from scratch.
I love that movie. The movie scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Yeah, I get the see, I've done too.
I love it now, though. It's I mean, all that old, that and Labyrinth and all like the old, like puppety kind of physical stuff. There's nothing like it. It was a kind of like a golden age kind of scenario, I think.
They have any questions?
Yeah. Who's anyone out there wanna? Sir.
I would say the only one that this is just flaws from the people that don't think beyond the idea, is when we were doing the Yankee sets for Yes. So like I said, when they were asking me about the sets upstairs, I know the place well and where we're going. I always do a site survey of, how's something going to come in, do they have a loading dock or whatever. With the Yes Network, we have a big sound stage, bigger than this room, 50-foot ceiling, 50 wide by 60. And then you're building these big television sets that you guys see every single day. And then you find out there's no freight elevator, and the standard pod elevator down the thing is only for passengers. So everything you have to build has to just fit through that one door in this elevator. Everything else is big giant doors until you get to the elevator. So you had to design it. Same thing I did for Yankee Stadium. They had a small door. Meanwhile, everything is huge where it's going into. A giant set to fit this room all had to be scaled down just for that elevator. It's a waste, it's money, and it's all the stuff, and you couldn't get it in the building. So you had to build it. All the pieces were bigger than this, but it's going to be a 40 by 60 foot set. That's when the building is a poor design, not the project. We came here and we got freight elevators. We're loading everything in, and if you go through the building in the back, all the doors are all big except for one hallway. And all of a sudden, every door shrunk down to that one. And I'm like, really? How did they get the cars up here? It's like, who designed that? How come you went that far and then there's a small door? So, that type of thing is only when it gets in the way. Or a location. A location could be, you really have to do that survey well, so you know how the location's going to work out. Good question, though.
Thank you so much. Who else has one? Someone else has one. Come. There we go.
Well, you guys have so much opportunities now to see what's online, who's doing puppetry and whatever. The trick is just doing, getting involved, just like movies. Get on a small film set, learn there, make a name for yourself. There is no right or wrong way, because it wasn't that way. Everybody said, well, you got to do this, this, and this. I've never seen it. I've been around for quite a while. You have to make your own way in it. But you guys have lots of opportunities with things that are out there that you see all the time. There's puppet clubs, there's building clubs, there's all kinds of stuff. None of that exists. I mean, when we started, we had only one magazine, Famous Monsters, and it had a little film thing in it, and we thought people all over the world, you know, we were the only ones doing it. There was no interconnection network to other people that are reading this magazine. I have a new documentary called Basil Gogo's King of the Monsters, and this series explains how all this came about. You wouldn't have these cons if it wasn't for that artist, Jim Warren, and Forey Ackerman. So it explains how, you know, somebody in Texas was reading the magazine and learned about Boris Karloff. Now you can pick up the internet, you can do whatever you want. Back then, if the guy in Jersey, unless you drove to him, you didn't even know he was into any of this stuff. So that's how that works now.
How did the artistry with Petey Bartle unfold? Why to make it?
Well, the Edwards twins, I don't know if you ever met any of the guys, they're here, and they're performers, and they do a fabulous show. And they're here, you can always tell them they have very colorful shirts here. They knew Barbara as well as I did, and Barbara was coming to Rhode Island. And at that point, they said, we want to do something different. And they're talking to me, Bill, could you do some pillars and just dress up, you know, her table? And me, the way I used to say, I turned around and said, why don't we just put Barbara back in the bottle? And I did a little sketch, and they're like, what are you talking about? Don't worry about it. And then I brought the bottle in, and I put her in it. Just that, you know. Why? Because I can. And that's what Barbara said. I haven't been back in one of these things since, you know, I shot the show. But, you know, I just knew her well enough that she would just, she saw it, and I wanted to see her face. And you guys got a chance to play with it. So there you go. Don't ever ask. John's learned very quickly, never ask me. Someone probably knows too. You ask me something, I go, okay, sure. You know, and that's how it happened. He brought me a note at Anime Con and said, what do you think? I said, well, it's 70th anniversary, let's do something. And I didn't tell him, I just did that one little sketch upstairs, and now what's up there is what you got.
That's right. There's no hesitation of stuffing a 90-year-old woman in a giant bottle. It's just like, that's the funniest part about the whole thing. Where it's like, yeah, she'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
She's good.
Fans will have fun.
Have you started planning the next big thing? I know obviously you just got the Muppet thing set up here this weekend, but is there already something brewing in your head for the next one?
Yeah, I'll probably just take over half the building here and do something.
There we go. Diamond Con coming soon next year.
Believe me, that's already been discussed, but that's all right. You're not the first one. This has been talked over breakfast on a couple of things.
She's like, we'll just rename the
I said, I don't want to do a whole con. Let's just take a wing.
The Diamond Fort. We're just going to bring everything. We're going to unload the whole studio. Anyone else? Someone want to send us out? Sir, in the back.
Yeah, just wanted to hear.
Well, the fun thing about Labyrinth was John Kahn was doing these, and Michael Motion and Johnny Henson and I were doing things in Rochester, New York in 1980, and they were doing circus performances. And we were videotaping the elements of that, and we heard that Jim was coming, John's dad. So Jim wanted to come to this fundraiser. It was during December of 1980. Well, it was Christmas of 1979, but 80 was coming right around the corner. And Jim walked in and saw Michael juggling, you know, the balls that you saw in Labyrinth. And so basically Jim kind of came in and says, I want to do something. This is 6 years before he did the movie. I want to do something with him. Bill, I want you to do something with Johnny. He didn't have, Jim never had, it's like Fraggle Rock. All he did was walk in and say, I found a way to stop the war in the world. And he walked out the door, and that was it. You know, truly an ideas guy. So when Labyrinth was being messed with, it was all around that ball that Michael would juggle. And that's really what we were doing tests and brought Jim to that. And he really loved that and thought of his character. We didn't know it was Bowie yet. And that's really what me and Johnny Henson were involved with, was making sure that we could, get this thing to do. Michael could do all this blind and all that other stuff, and it just went from there. And that's how something, just like a sketch, I hand over to them. It's just that simple.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's man, the amount of stuff that you've had your hand in is just, it's impressive.
Is that a puppetry joke?
Oh, waka waka. There we go. Yes, yeah. That was a well-planted, purposeful puppetry joke. No, but it really is. I mean, it's you always hear stories like, oh yeah, no, yeah, there's this guy, he's done yada 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 yada. But it's like you really have, like, you've done everything.
And we just, it's all these new little challenges that come up, and that's what we do. Is I just create worlds. Robbie brings me a tree and says, how about doing this? And then we're in trouble. What's it?
I had a hard time with the mouse too.
See, I've known Robbie for 45 years. He's worked with me on projects, but never been to one of these things with me. So he's having a ball. This is his first time, so he's having a ball.
Yay! First timer. Woo! Check out the fudge stand. It's really good. No,
you can't fudge that either. So
that's awesome. So as we're wrapping up, so anyone who has not gone up and seen the Muppet stuff, please go do. There's another setup in the main.
Oh, the Terrifier.
Yep, the Terrifier stuff's over here in the main concourse. But if you don't go see everything, like, you're really doing yourself a disservice. It's super impressive, and it's again, you don't see stuff like that everywhere. Like,
well, the Terrifier stuff, that's all the real stuff too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But it's the same. Like I said, every year you knock out the park, and I think this one is one for the ages. At least for me, it's probably just because I'm such a Muppet guy, but it's super impressive. So, and again, I could probably sit here and listen to you tell stories all day. Like, you're kind of like, like a Renaissance man, kind of, in a way. It's like you've done so much stuff, and I'm a big movie guy, so it's super impressive just hearing you tell the stories and listen to all the stuff you've done.
I always forget until somebody brings something up, and I go, "Oh yeah, I did that too." I'm like, and I don't want to say anything because after a while it becomes too much. But yeah, from commercials, people find out I did the Grey Goose bottles, and then they find out I did this commercial and I did that, thing, and now I'm running around. I make Robbie do the commercials for me. It's like, you go do it.
Bill invented the Rubik's Cube and Post-its and awesome. Everyone, so again, Bill, thank you so much for coming out and telling stories and stuff like that with us. We all appreciate it. It's been fun for me. So I've seen you every year, but I never actually get to sit down and talk to you. So it's kind of cool to finally check that box. So, but again, everyone, please go upstairs and check everything out. And let's give a round of applause for Bill Diamond, everybody, the one and only.